What is up? Welcome back to Cryptographics. Thank you for checking out this video today. We are going to be talking about 3 ways that PulseX could 10,000x your money. So let's get right into it. What is the third thing that we're going to talk about today? It is going to be buying and holding. It seems obvious, but it's really, really, really important. Just by merely holding PLSX or PulseX's token, you are holding a deflationary asset. The buy and burn function from transactions will burn 20.6% of the total transaction cost in PLSX. So that's every time a transaction happens on a decentralized exchange called PulseX, you're going to see 20.6% of each of the transaction fee, which is a 0.29% transaction fee on every single transaction. 20.6% of that 0.29% is going to be burned. So let's take a closer look at this. For every $1 million in volume exchanged on PulseX, there is going to be $600 of buy pressure placed into PLSX. Then it gets burned. So not only is it being bought all the time, it's being pumped. I don't know how to quantify the burning mechanism, but I do believe it's going to be really, really big. So let's check out Uniswap's stats. So if you go to info.uniswap, you can check out their daily volume, and this is where I pulled this info from. So Uniswap's last 24-hour volume was $1.44 billion. So let's use this as how could we use this to project what PulseX might get in daily volume? Well, Uniswap is on Ethereum, which has many, obviously, current active users. Trading on Ethereum network is not possible for smaller users. And this is due to the fact that all the fees are much higher than PulseChain will be. It can still cost $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, $100 for a single transaction. And for someone who maybe only wants to spend $20 or $100, a $20 fee to get in, a fifth if you're spending $100 of your fee or of the cost to get in, it just doesn't make sense, right? So, well, the total volume is 1.44 billion currently on Uniswap. It is possible that if Ethereum fees were as low as PulseChain, the daily volume would increase. Obviously, this is speculation, but still, it's interesting to think about. If it was easier to transact, would Ethereum have a higher volume? And seeing as how there's so many people that are just, for lack of a better term, bitching about Ethereum on Twitter and on social media, I think so. I don't know how much. It might be a couple million, could be another billion, somewhere in between or less. I don't know. But still, I think it would increase. So if we take a conservative estimate of $1 billion of daily volume, once PulseChain's up and running, PLSX will get $600,000 in daily buy pressure. Just daily buy pressure. And then it takes it out of the supply. So the supply is shrinking and there's upward momentum or upward pressure because of the purchase. So that's a huge deal. It's a really huge deal. And I think it's going to make the price of PulseX do some things that we may have not ever seen other tokens do in a while as far as maybe movement. I mean, this is just me speculating, but if I were to put 2 and 2 together here, I think it's going to be pretty hard to move this price down unless people are just dumping it. Which could happen, right? When PulseChain launches, people could just dump their PLSX. They might buy PulseChain, right? People could just, maybe there's a 10x right away. People just dump it and take profits, right? So the buy pressure, though, is really going to help to mitigate that when someone does sell. So that's a really good mechanism for price protection as well as the pumpamentals, as some other YouTubers will call it. So we'll call it pumpamentals. So let's keep going, though. PulseX will be the most liquid exchange with the cheapest fees on PulseChain. So if any exchange will get this kind of volume or higher, it will be PulseX, because in order for Uni or Sushi or any of the other exchanges that come over in the fork, they're not getting any of the liquidity. Richard is taking all of the liquidity and placing it into PulseX. In case you're listening to this for the first time, Richard is the founder of PulseX, PulseChain, and Hex. So making PulseX the decentralized exchange on PulseChain, of course he's going to make it the best exchange on his chain. So he's leeching everything from all other exchanges and placing it into PulseX. So it's going to be the hub for all these transactions. So if you even think about that in comparison to ETH has a number of exchanges that are fairly big, right? If you take that concept and you apply it to ETH, if ETH had one major exchange that had 90+% of the liquidity, how much more of the daily volume would it get? Cool thought experiment. I like it. Makes me excited, very excited. But let's keep going here. So it's impossible to say, obviously, just how much the price, to just reiterate here, it's impossible to say just how much this buy and burn could move the price. But if you've been watching, there's a Hex whale bot on Twitter for the cryptocurrency Hex. And if you notice how much even 300,000 USD can move the price up or down, it's somewhere around 5% or more. Like when you see, let's say $500,000 dumped, because we've seen a lot of dumps lately. That's why the price is quite, was like 11 and a half cents or something around there right now. And $300,000 dump can move the price like a half a penny sometimes or more. 5% is probably more of a conservative estimate, but still. So now think about that for $600,000 in daily buy pressure and then burning for PulseX could be massive. So just to completely cap this off, this is all just completely rough math and speculation, because we really don't know what's going to happen. We won't until we actually see everything go live and everything plays out. Money comes in, people start trading or start buying things or holding or doing transactions. The NFT guys come in, the rest of the guys that hold their ERCs come in. Like that may take some time, or it could happen right away. There could be a spike in activity and then come down again. Like who knows what's going to happen, right? So it's good to know how it works and to know what you're holding, because you probably won't want to sell it by the time we're done this video. So with that being said, let's go on to the next point. Number 2, the second best, in my opinion, way to do this, to work on getting your 10,000x is staking PLSX in a pool. Now, if you haven't already gone onto the testnet and checked out the PulseX DEX on the testnet, I highly recommend doing that. You can even go there without your wallet and just click. There's 2 different tabs. You can click exchange and pools, I believe it is. And pools will bring you to farms or pools, and exchange will bring you to liquidity or just the exchange where you can exchange different coins, obviously, or different tokens. So, but let's continue. So PulseX, like we're talking about, there's a pool, right? PulseX will have a specific staking pool where users can place up to 10 million PLSX per wallet in this pool, right? So there's a limit on this. While the current APR annual percentage rate is quite high on testnet, which is, I think the last I saw was 300 and something. It fluctuates up to 4. It's all just test numbers though, right? So we can assume that it's probably going to be lower from that 400% APR. And I want to just touch on APR real quick. APR is not APY. APY is compounding yearly. So APR is just your annual percentage rate. It's what you get consistently. It's more linear, right? It's not exponential in its curve. So it's different and it doesn't compound the same way. So you can pull out your money that you've retrieved or your rewards whenever you want along the way, and it will not affect how much you get in the future. So it's a very interesting dynamic that those of us who are familiar with Hex are not used to seeing. So it's a really cool feature of that specific pool. There may be other pools you can participate in. However, you do not need 2 different tokens to participate in this pool and earn rewards. So normally in a liquidity pool, in order to be a liquidity provider and earn a reward or interest, or the incentive token, or whatever the token is from the DEX, the decentralized exchange, normally you have to have coin A or token A and token B, right? And they have to go together basically even. They have to put the equivalent amount into each side of the pool, right? There are issues with this that we'll get into in a bit. But with PulseX, you don't have to do that. You have one token and you just stick it in the right spot and it makes you money. You don't have to have X amount or be limited because you have like a ton of this token that you don't want to sell and you only have a tiny bit of this, and therefore you can only get a little bit of the staking pool or the LP token, the liquidity provider token, because of your limitation on this, and you don't want to switch out of that coin, right? So I personally like the pool like I said, because I don't have to sell my PLSX for anything else, nor does it have the risks of placing tokens in the pool. There is a couple more that we'll talk about. So yeah, it seems much more secure. So let's continue on and talk about how this all works though. Once you've staked your PLSX in the pool, you can collect your coins at any time, daily, hourly, weekly, doesn't matter. You can do every 10 seconds if you really wanted to, if you got nothing better to do. Currently on the testnet, the reward is PRT, which it's unclear exactly what this is or what the function of this coin will be. And it's interesting to note that the incentive token, which is 3-letter ticker INC, which is clearly laid out, even in the exchange, you can actually find it. That's the incentive token, it seems. So PRT is something different. And it's not clear exactly what PRT is, what its functionality is, where it comes from, or anything. So all we know is that that's the reward, and we have the APR to show how much of that we're getting per minute, essentially, or whenever the refresh rate is, essentially. So let's talk about a couple thoughts on the reward token and some strategies on how you might be able to utilize it. And this is going to be limited to just what we know right now. This can expand in the future, but for now, we're going to be limited with all the information that we have just based on the testnet alone. So again, ignoring the coin's functionality or use case, it's going to have some value, whether it is what it is right now, which I think is over $1 actually on the testnet, whether it's going to be something like that or it's going to be less, it will have some value. And the APR that you get, which is probably lower, will still give you that coin in a certain amount per minute or hour or whatever the refresh rate is, right? So one option might be to utilize this free money to just buy more PLSX if you can get your hands on any of it at all, because it's going to be hard to come by. And I think a lot of people are thinking like we are, obviously, where we don't want to sell our PulseX. So it's going to be kind of hard to get it, but some people might not want to hold or might not be able to hold on through a 10x on the way to something much, much, much higher, right? They might get to that 10x and they might think, I need the money. I got to cash out. So then they cash out at their 10x, they dump it on the market. Boom. You have an opportunity on your hands. So you could save it for that opportunity. Or the second case scenario is, assuming it is too difficult to get PLSX, is to use the PR token to buy coins that are likely to go up in value over the long term, like Pulse or Hex. Now, both of those are equally good investments in their own right. Hex is a very long-term play. Like the best possible way to play Hex is staking longer than 10 years. So to get the maximum value possible out of Hex, you got to stake for at least 10 years to 15 years. PLS, a little bit longer term as well, maybe more like a year or 2 years. You could see something that if you hold it could go up substantially as well, but it's not nearly as long as Hex. So it depends on what you want to do. You know, there might be another token, but realistically, Pulse and Hex are the only other two besides PLSX I personally will be looking at, unless something substantial changes or Richard comes out with something else that just is mind-boggling. Then I'll change my opinion here. But so far, those are the two that I really see being the most effective use of your money from this if you're not going to put it into PLSX. So, and let's talk about case 3. So case 3 is to use 50% of this PRT or the reward token to purchase a coin that can then be placed in a liquidity pool as a provider to potentially earn high APR on the money you've already made. So let's clear this up. You've made your PRT, right? Let's say you made over the course of a week, I don't know, let's go crazy, $1,000. And you take that $1,000, you go and you look at what liquidity or what farming pools are there that give the highest yield. If any of them already have the PRT in there, you can go and buy the opposite token that completes that pair and place it in that pool. You basically are getting that pool for free. And especially if that pool pays a very high APR, you're like getting the second half, you're getting the entire pool for free and it's making you money. You're compounding your money this way. So by paying attention to not just the first one you see, the first farming pool you see, by actually looking at what's going on and being able to monitor this as closely as you can figure out when you need to pull these out and restake them somewhere else, or when you need to switch coins, or which specific coin makes the most sense. Because some of these might make sense over a couple of days, some might make sense for a couple of weeks as far as how well the pair is going to perform, right? So you're going to want to monitor this. But even though we've talked about all of this, and these are great ways to compound your money, there's still one way. And I'm telling you, this is like my favorite. I am absolutely going to do this for sure. Unless we get some crazy news that comes out that contradicts everything that I lead to believe right now about this, this is the number one way, in my opinion, to make the most money out of this whole situation. So, number one is creating multiple wallets for max staking PLSX. So, again, one of the limitations with PLSX staking pool is the limit of a single stake of up to 10 million Pulse or PulseX. So, even if you bought PulseX with the reward token and got up to another 10 million PulseX with the rewards, you're stuck unless you have another wallet. Now, by sending your 10 million PLSX to another wallet, you're now able to have 2 stakes going at once. This is an instant 2x on the safest way to earn rewards with your PulseX without ever selling it. So not only is it going to go up in value, but now you're making the most out of every PulseX, right? Oh, I can't wait. So let's keep going though. You could do this for the life of your rewards, constantly adding a new stake over time, because this isn't necessarily going to be a fast process, but this could be a process that happens over time. Like you could start with 1, and maybe over the course of a month, maybe 2 months, 6 months, a year, you get your second. Maybe it happens quite quick, but this is something that you can work towards to be able to place your PulseX in a secure location that will always make you money. And unlike Hex, which has a locking mechanism, you can get out of this at any time and just pull your money out. Or you can keep it staked and pull the money that has been made out. So you have so many options, and it gives you literally 24/7 passive income. And you're doubling that income every time you get. And that's just the income. You're not even doubling your investment size. You're just doubling your income, right? That if you keep piling that up, it's going to be easier and easier and easier to get that next 10 million PulseX or whatever other token you want. If you want to use it for something else, maybe you want to use it for Pulse, maybe you want to use it for Hex. The sky is the limit, right? So this means you're never selling your tokens that are deflationary through buy and burn. Again, they're deflationary because they're being bought and then burned. So upward pressure on price, and again, upward pressure on price. So double on the price, upward movement. And then you're maximizing the use case and gains of every PLSX token, right? It's awesome. So even if PLSX goes into a bear market or dip, you will still be earning money every single day, offsetting your decrease in investment value and setting you up for a future bonus and gains when the price goes back up. So you're basically hedging yourself against a bear market when you do this. And the more consistently you do this, and the more you have that layer of, more that you have those stakes, the more you're protecting and offsetting the downside of your gains essentially in a bear market or in a big dip, right? Or whatever you want to call it, right? So as this adds up over time, this is a massive opportunity to have passive income that could possibly sustain you and literally make you financially free by using this and not taking the gains right away, by being patient, by delaying your gratification and continuing to essentially set up assets, right? Productive assets, because that's at this point, what we should be looking at is 10 million PulseX is one asset. It's a productive asset. Then you have 2 assets when you get to 20 million, then 3 assets. And if you're going on and on and on and on and on, you get it, right? You're going to have so many assets that are working for you 24/7 per day. That's everything I had for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I am thrilled to see PulseX go live and to see, well, the whole chain really. Like, I cannot wait. We're so close. I feel we're just so close. But before I go, guys, I wanted to say I am thrilled. I think before I came on here, when I wrote this, it was 250. And what's funny was I wrote 250 because I was thinking, okay, at this rate, we'll obviously get there by the time I record this. And by the time I recorded it, we're up to 262 or 264. It's nuts. Like, we've been doing videos for 12 days. That's it. On March 11th. So I am just I'm blown away. Thank you guys so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It means the world to me. So if you want to stay in touch with me after this video, I mean, I'm going to be posting daily at this point. I'm loving these posts, and you guys seem to be liking them as well, so we're going to keep doing that. But if you want to talk to me more, you can talk to me on Twitter at Cryptographics. And guys, please like the video, subscribe, and if you thought of anything that I didn't, if you disagree with me, if you loved it, if you have questions, any future videos you want to see, like even the lighting in the background, someone let me know about the lighting for the green and the red, or for the colors for depending on which token I'm talking about. It's awesome. I love it. Keep it coming. So please drop a comment. And guys, thank you so much. I will see you very, very soon. Peace.